What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with a review for Power Book 4, you guys. This is Forced. This is Season 1, Episode 1, and the episode was titled A Short Fuse and a Long Memory, you guys. So, before we go ahead and get into this review, you guys, if you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel and you guys are not subscribed to the channel, then I'm gonna need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. Do me that favor by liking the video, you guys, subscribing to my channel, turning your notifications on, and sharing the video. And with that out of the way, you guys, let's get into Power Book 4 Force, shall we? All right, guys, so we're gonna start up with our boy Tommy. So we see Tommy. So Tommy is, you guys remember when he left, New York, he was on his way to LA, right? So he's gotten a call from Rodolfo. So Rodolfo is calling him like, hey, you were supposed to be here and you're not here yet. So what's going on with you, Tommy? So Tommy's like, hey, did a little pit stop. So I'll be there when I get there. So now Rodolfo is starting to, basically question Tommy at this point, right? So then we see Tommy. So Tommy pulls up in this neighborhood, and then this kid comes up to his car, is like, hey, you owe me, for parking there, basically. He's like, basically he had like a mop and a chair talking about this is a parking meter, basically, and you owe me. So he pulls out his knife. When he pulled his knife out, Tommy was like, really, kid? Tommy lifted his shirt and showed him his gun. The kid was like, hey, and then Tommy slapped his ass. So Tommy asked him, like, where'd they bury the old lady that used to live here? He said they didn't bury her. She's at a retirement home, right? So then we see Tommy. We see him. He pulls up to a bar, right? And when he gets out, he goes into the bar. He gets a drink, and he meets the bartender, who's very cute. Her name is Gloria, right? So Tommy and Glow, they hit it off immediately, right? I was like, oh, she's just really cute, right? Very, very cute. So then we see Tommy. He was outside of the bar at one point, right? And it's just like, damn, everybody's just fucking with him about a parking space, right? So it's these two dudes that get out the car. One's name is Vic and one name is Simon, right? And like I said, they're fucking with Tommy about this damn parking space. And then the one in the back seat, he lets the window down. He's like, hey, because they were ready to fight Tommy, right? And the one in the back, the guy that was sitting in the back seat, he let the window down. He's like, can you please move your car? And Tommy was like, see, that's how you ask a motherfucker to move their shit, right? And for that, he moved the car, right? Then one of the dudes, they thought that Tommy was from Boston. I'm like, do y'all not see his car, that Mustang? Those are New York license plates. The one dude said, fuck Tom Brady and fuck Larry Bird, right? I was like, what did Larry Bird do to you? I get Tom Brady, but what did Bird do to you, right? So then, like I said, the bar. So we later see, both guys in the bar, Vic and Simon, right? So we'll talk about them a little bit more, right? So the one that asked Tommy nicely to move, he was talking to Tommy, asking him how long was he gonna be in town. He was Tommy was like, I'm just basically passing through at this point, right? So, we never got his name, but I think we'll talk about him a little bit, but never got his name. But he handed Tommy a card, right? He basically told Tommy, like, hey, you don't want to be on the other side of the Flint family, which I guess is the big name family in, Chicago, right? So, Gloria, the bartender, right? She's making a payment to Victor, and then Victor is talking to Gloria, and he's saying, hey, can we have a conversation? She was like, no. He tells, because she was like, nothing has changed, right? With his father, still putting money in his pocket. And he's telling her, he wants to sit down with his father. He wants to have a conversation with his father and let his father know what's going on, but when the time is right. So then we're still at the bar, right? So Vic has left and Simon is still there, right? So then at one point, Simon and this one patron, they got into it with each other, right? So Gloria, she went to go check it out, and she told Simon, like, either eat, drink, or get the fuck out, right? And then he tried to flex his muscle at her. She's like, you are just basically a glorified errand boy. Shut the fuck up, right? So then we at one point see Simon. Simon is into the booger sugar, right? Because he did a line right there in the bar. I was like, wow, that's very bold. So then we see Simon. So Simon's in the back and Simon's taking a piss, right? So Tommy goes back there. Tommy, woo, woo, beat his ass up. And then at one point, Tommy put his hand through a rail and he stepped on his I was like, oh my God. Because like, you ain't got to do that. He's like, yes, I do. And he did it. I was like, oh, I know that hurt because you hurt that bone, right? So then Tommy took his phone and Vic is texting him about, this meetup that they're going to have to get some product, right? So Tommy will be going to the meetup, right? So Tommy, he literally did that. He pulled up on Vic. Vic is texting Simon and pop, pop. Tommy shoots in the window, right? So Tommy tells him, like, I want you to introduce me to your connect, right? So then they go and they are going to be meeting with the connect to get the drugs, right? When they go into this meeting, I looked at the two that they were doing the business with. I'm like, wait a minute, y'all are doing business with two tweakers? Because those kids that they were doing business with were high as fuck, and then they both got guns and they pulled them on them and they're shaking like this, like little leaves. I'm like, what's going on here? Because this makes no sense, right? But suffice it to say, Tommy is the one that saved the day from them two tweakers. Because, them kids was tweaking. Tommy took the drugs and Tommy took the money, right? And there was another person there. We'll talk about him and his brother later. His name was Jannard. And we'll talk about Jannard and his brother in just a few minutes, right? So, now, actually, while they're there, Jannard is talking about his clique, right? His clique is called CBI, which I think it is Chicago Brothers Institute or International, or it's something with an I. Well, obviously CBI. Chicago Brothers Institute. I believe that's what it was. I could be wrong, but they were talking, right? So we see Tommy later on in the episode, right? So Tommy, he's looking into the Flynn family, right? So he's found the head of the Flynn family, which his name is Walter, and then he looks into the CBI, and he looks at the CBI, and the head of the CBI was in prison for 15 years, which is who we're going to talk about in just a little bit, right? So then we see Tommy. So Tommy went back to the retirement home, right? And that's his grandmother that's at the retirement home, right? So Tommy goes up to her. And he asked her, does she remember who he is? He showed her a picture, right? And then he flipped it over. He said, it's Tommy. And she was like, Tommy. I was like, oh. She either has Alzheimer's or she has dementia, one of the two. I was like, oh, that's really sad, right? So then when Tommy left, there's this guy that came up behind Tommy, like, how do you know Miriam Egan? Tommy turned around and he was like, I'm her grandson. He was like, I'm her grandson. I was like, I know you fucking lying. And come to find out, it is Tommy's brother, right? It is Tommy's fucking brother. Now, I was like, wait a minute. So, and I finally put two and two together. Because the brother said he was raised by his father, right? And then when I thought about it, I'm like, wait a minute, that woman was white. The grandmother is white. This boy is mixed, right? So his dad is obviously black. I was like, you lying. That is Kate's son. And I was like, well, goddamn, Kate, you ain't shit, right? You, for years, have played, you talked about how Ghost was your son. But girl, you got a whole ass real son out here that is black, and you ain't said nothing about it. Kate, you ain't shit. You ain't shit, Kate. You ain't shit. So then to wrap up with Tommy, we see Tommy. So Tommy, the Flynn, they actually kind of cornered him. He was driving, right. So you got one black vehicle one black SUV here, here, and here. So he couldn't go anywhere. So they told him to follow them, right. So he followed them to meet with Walter, right. So Walter was ready to, Tommy, actually he was playing strong arm with Tommy because Tommy was like, if you wanted me dead, I would already be dead. So what's going on here, right? And he said, I already saved your boy from, that terrible drug deal that he was doing. So what's up? So Walter took the drugs back and the money, and he's telling Tommy to get out of town, right? Tommy was getting ready to leave, but then, he at one point had a conversation with Rodolfo, and Rodolfo was like, he's his boss. And Tommy said, you ain't my boss. I ain't working for nobody. I'm staying here. Fuck you, Rodolfo, and threw his phone out the window. I was like, oh, okay, cool. All right, you guys, so we're gonna pause here and move forward. All right, you guys, so next up, we are introduced to a new character by the name of Diamond, right? So we see Diamond. So Diamond is in prison. Diamond is the head of the CBI, right? Diamond is the one that has been in prison for the last 15 years. So he's in the prison, barbershop, right? And he's giving this older guy a haircut. So the guy tells him that once he gets out of jail, like, don't do shit that'll land you back in here, right? And then we see as Diamond goes to his cell, right? And there's this guy named Rojas there, right? And what Rojas tells his guys, like, once he gets out, we'll let him get good and comfortable outside, right? And then we'll make the call. So then we see Diamond as he's being released from prison, right? And you can tell that Diamond, while he was in prison, he was very well liked, right? Because when he's leaving, they give him his shoes, right? The guard was like, ooh, those shoes are worth a lot on such and such, right? He was like, I'll give you 150 for each, right? Diamond was like, I don't know what that website is I don't know what that is you're talking about, but I do know that those shoes are going to be well worth more than 100,000. I mean, not 100,000, 150. But he gives it to him, right? And then the guard says, we got together and we got you this little gift. It's not much, but we got you something. So they got him his own little stuff, for his barbershop. I was like, oh, that is so cool. And that's when I was like, you know what? While he was on the inside, he must have made really good friends, right? So then we see him, he goes outside of he's being released, right? So his brother has picked him up, and his brother's name is Jannard, right? Jannard's like, hey man, where are your shoes at? He was like, they didn't give, I'm gonna go back. He's like, no, I gave it to him. We're good, right? So we see Diamond. So Diamond is walking the street with Jannard, right? And Jannard is telling Diamond the situation that happened with Tommy and with Vic when they met up with them goddamn tweakers trying to get some drugs. Now Diamond is questioning why, Jannard is running with a certain crew, right? And in that moment, I was thinking, because when Jannard got out, and especially going back to that conversation that older gentleman had with him, I was thinking, okay, maybe Jannard at this point in his life has, rehabilitated himself. He doesn't want to be involved in that lifestyle anymore. And I was thinking that once Jannard got out, what would happen is that the lifestyle would drag him back in. From this episode, I was like, oh no, that's the opposite. The lifestyle ain't dragging him back in. This nigga never got out the lifestyle, right? I was like, he has never got it out of the lifestyle, right? Also, when they were talking about Tommy, and the fact that, Tommy is the one that saved the day with them two tweakers, right? This has piqued the Diamond's interest in Tommy, right? So Diamond wants Jannard to find out who the white boy is, find Casper, because that's what they called him. He says, find him, and I want to meet him, right? So then we see Jannard. So they were walking, right? And we see them, they walk toward this barbershop, right? So Jannard was like, so did you keep up the monthly payments on this? He's like, nah, I ain't keep it up. He's like, so we just walked in here with the key. He says, I didn't keep it up because I bought this place. This is yours. We have a title to this. Like, we have the deed. We have all that. This is clean to us, right? So it's yours. The rent, there's no rent. The tax is caught up. Everything is caught up on the inspection. Is caught up. Everything is good. This is your place, right? So then we see Jannard. He left, right? And then after Jannard left, a little later in the episode, this guy comes in and he was very, very shifty. And, Diamond was like, hey, we're not open right now, so come back a little bit later. And the dude was just talking. I'm like, Jannard, I hope you got a gun to pop this nigga, because this nigga is weird. But he took a straight razor out, and then the guy sat down and he got a phone call and he lifted his shirt and you saw his badge. I was like, oh, you're a cop. And then I thought about it after he sat down with that badge. I'm like, oh, you guys remember. I'm like, so this must be Rojas' guy, right? Because remember, Rojas said that they want to let him get good and comfortable and then make the call. So I'm like, so is this one of Rojas' guys or what? Like, I'm interested to see where this story goes, right? I'm very interested in that, right? So we're gonna pause here, you guys, and we're gonna move forward and wrap up. All right, you guys. So to wrap up, now this first episode is a really good episode, but I don't think that my review is gonna be necessarily that long. But other than that, the episode was really good. I really enjoyed it. So let's talk about the Flynn family, right? So we were introduced to some of the Flynns, right? I've already talked about Victor. We've already talked about Victor. So the next one we met was Walter, and we met Claudia. So Claudia is, the daughter to Walter, or she calls him Don, right? And she's sitting at his desk, right? So she obviously works, in the business, right? And she asked where Vic and Polly at, right? So I think Polly was the one that rolled the window down and talked to Tommy and asked Tommy to move his car, right? And he says that, they're out doing collections and that he has a meeting later, right? And she says, well, how about I come with you to that meeting? So he tells her, oh no, Victor has this under control. So then he tells her, come here. She says, what? He says, let me see your hands. She's like, what are you talking about? He says, let me see your hands. So she holds her hands out like this, right? He says, what do you think you're gonna do with these? You can't throw a punch. I was like, oh, you're a misogynist. You are sexist. Like, you think that just because she's a woman, she can't do the same things that a man can do. But you just sit there and said that she beat her brother at something, or either she beat him at something. Oh, she beat him at chess, right? If she beat him at chess, that means she's smarter than Vic, and obviously so, right? Especially after Vic did that terrible deal with those tweakers. Vic ain't the brightest bulb in the box. Let's keep it real with you guys. Let's keep it real. Vic is not the brightest bulb in the box. So then we see her. She's at a club, and she at one point she was like, I'm tired of men telling me what to do. And we see her, and so we see some girl on girl action, right? Now I was kind of confused when they had sex with the coke. I was like, girl, where did the coke come from? Why did y'all need coke? So I was like, okay, Claudia's lesbian, or at least bisexual. We don't know that yet, but hey, we know she's something. We know she likes women. So then we see Claudia later in the episode, and she was going off on Victor about this whole terrible drug deal he did, right? She's like, the drugs that you got from them, they're terrible. Why would you do business with them, right? And then she was like, why would you do business with them knowing that we're being watched by the feds, right? That kind of puts eyes on their, because I guess they have legitimate businesses at this point. They have some legitimate businesses, but with him doing this, it just kind of makes it look a little, it puts more eyes on it, right? Put more eyes, more focus on it. So we can see with this family that Claudia is probably the brains, but with her father, he doesn't necessarily value that. He doesn't value that. And I feel like Claudia is going to go through this entire season or series. I feel like she's going to be doing a lot of what she's going to be doing is trying to prove herself as a worthy, person in the family and in the business to her father. I just feel like that's what's gonna happen with Miss Claudia. But yeah, you guys, that's the first episode of Power Book 4 Force. Let me know what you guys thought about the season. I mean, not the season. Let me know what you guys thought about the premiere episode of Power Book 4 Force. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Please subscribe to the channel, you guys. Turn on your notifications so you guys are notified of when I drop anything else. Share the video, you guys. And until the next time, stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves, you guys. Remember, wear your mask, socially distance, be blessed, wash your hands, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. I said that backwards. But until then, you guys, bye, guys.